the Northern Lights. In a small town nestled in the snowy reaches of Norway, where winter lasted for more than half the year and the sky danced with emerald lights, lived a young photographer named Elena. She had moved there from Oslo in search of peace, chasing silence and solitude after a painful breakup that left her heart in pieces. With her camera always slung over her shoulder and snow crunching beneath her boots, she wandered the icy forests and quiet fjords, capturing the raw, untouched beauty of the north. It was on one of those frozen mornings, just before sunrise, that she met Anders, a local carpenter who was fixing the broken steps of the town's only library. He was tall, soft-spoken, with eyes the color of glacier water and hands rough from years of woodwork. Elena barely noticed him at first, too focused on photographing the icy patterns on the window panes, but he noticed her. Over time, their paths began to cross more often. At the market, at the post office, on the snowy trails. Anders would bring her handmade wooden frames for her photographs, always shyly, as if unsure if she would accept them. She always did, her heart thawing slowly with each gesture. One evening, as the northern lights swirled above them in shades of green and violet, Elena found herself walking beside Anders along the edge of a frozen lake. "Do you ever get used to this?" she asked, gazing up. "The lights?" he said. "No. They still feel like a miracle every time." She smiled. "So do you," she wanted to say, but instead she just looked at him, really looked, and felt something warm bloom in the middle of the coldest night. Winter turned to spring, and Elena stayed in the town longer than she'd planned. Days were longer, warmer, and filled with laughter, the quiet kind, shared between two people who understood each other without needing too many words. It wasn't a love story of grand gestures or dramatic confessions. It was a love written slowly, like carvings in wood, like photos developed in a dark room, like letters sent and answered across time. On the one-year anniversary of the day they met, Anders took her hand and led her back to the library steps, now rebuilt and strong, and asked if she would stay, truly stay, not just for the light, but for him. And she said yes. Beneath the northern lights, their love bloomed quietly, steady, unshakable, and eternal as the snow-covered peaks that surrounded them. Whispers of the ocean breeze. On the rugged coast of Maine, nestled between cliffs and endless waves, there was a small town named Windmere, where time seemed to slow and the ocean whispered forgotten secrets. Among the weathered cottages and salt-kissed air lived Evelyn Moore, a marine biologist who had returned home after a decade away, and Caleb Hart, a local boat builder with a quiet smile and a past full of heartbreak. Evelyn had once loved the sea for its mystery, but after years chasing data and diving expeditions, she had grown weary. Returning to Windmere was supposed to be temporary, a brief escape from her failed relationship and a prestigious research job that had turned cold. But something about the sea here, the one she had grown up with, felt different. Softer. Familiar. Healing. Caleb had lived in Windmere all his life. After losing his wife in a storm 6 years ago, he found solace in carving boats from driftwood and staying out of sight. He wasn't the same man who used to write love songs or chase the sunrise with a camera. He had closed his heart, one wave at a time. Their paths crossed one afternoon when Evelyn's kayak drifted into trouble and Caleb pulled her to shore. It should have been a brief encounter, a thank you and goodbye. But her curiosity and his quiet nature sparked something unspoken. She began visiting his workshop under the cliffs, watching him sand, shape, and breathe life into boats. "Do you always talk to your wood?" she teased one day, watching him murmur to a stubborn piece of cedar. "Only when it doesn't listen," he replied with a smile that reached his eyes. Over coffee, shared silences, and the sound of hammers echoing against the tide, they grew closer. Caleb taught Evelyn how to sail again, and Evelyn reminded him how to laugh. They discovered a mutual love for constellations, often laying on the dock, naming stars and tracing dreams into the sky. But love, like the ocean, is rarely calm. Evelyn received an offer to lead a research mission in the Maldives, an opportunity she'd once dreamed of. Accepting it would mean leaving Windmere and Caleb. She struggled between the future she had built and the present she had unexpectedly fallen into. Caleb, fearing she would leave like everyone else he had loved, began to pull away. "You have a whole world waiting for you," he said one evening, eyes fixed on the dark horizon. "Don't stay here for me." But Evelyn didn't want the world. She wanted home, and in his eyes, she had found it. On the morning of her departure, she walked to the dock, suitcase in hand. The boat to the city was waiting. So was Caleb, standing at the edge, holding something wrapped in canvas. "A gift," he said, unwrapping a small model sailboat carved with the words, "For the one who brought the tide back in." Tears welled in her eyes. "I never needed the ocean to take me away," she whispered. "I just needed it to bring me back to you." She stayed. And in Windmere, the sea continued to whisper, but now, it carried their laughter, their shared dreams, and the story of two hearts finding their way home.